Hey, what's going on? It's Troy coming at you from thenaturalcouple.com, and today I'm going to go over two main things that you need to keep in the forefront of your mind when it comes to including or incorporating some sort of inflammatory diet into your current nutritional plan. So understand that there are two things that I'm going to cover here quickly. Number one, the risks of having chronic inflammation. So you need to know what you're up against. You need to know the battle that you're going to be fighting, or maybe you already are fighting it right now. This video is for you. And the second thing is how to go about starting to include different foods and why they work into your inflammatory diet. But first, understand that inflammation by itself is completely natural. It's vital to your body's overall health. Now, when I say that, a lot of people are surprised because inflammation carries a lot of negative undertones with it, right? When people think of inflammation, they normally think of something bad and negative. However, in the short term, inflammation is really just the body's attempt to heal or repair some sort of damaged tissue or defend against some sort of foreign invader like a virus or a bacteria. Those are all great things, right? And that's how inflammation can be good to your body. However, when inflammation happens long term, when it becomes chronic and sustained, that's when we start to see problems, right? Because it's easy to see inflammation when it's on your skin, for example, okay? It's when you see it topically, all right? There's normally a redness to it or a swelling, for example. There might be some heat or some warmth associated with the affected area, and there may even be some pain or immobility if it's a major joint like a shoulder or an elbow or a knee. But it's more difficult to understand you have inflammation if it's happening inside of you, right? Because we just can't see it. And many people today who are walking around in our society, or just unfortunately, they just are walking around in a pro-inflammatory state. They just don't know it. And they have heightened levels of inflammation. They may have had these for months or even years. But there's two main things that you can do right now to start lowering that risk. Number one, lower your sugar intake. Number two, lower the intake of any sort of processed grain. Because the reality is this, our bodies were just not designed or equipped to process and eliminate the amount of sugar and the amount of processed grains that we currently see in our modern diet today. They're just not designed to do it. But we wind up eating nearly 200 pounds of sugar every single year on average for every person. It's an insane amount of sugar. Processed grains, I mean, think of how many carbohydrates are in the types of foods that you wind up eating today. And those are just the foods that you may know about. I mean, carbohydrates are a very sneaky thing that can sneak into a lot of different foods, a lot of varieties of foods. Number one, though, that I'm going to cover here, you have to know the battle that you're fighting, okay? So when you have chronic inflammation, when you have persistent, sustained inflammation, it can happen in a couple of ways. Number one, it can happen with a wear or tear situation, right? Like an osteoporosis or an autoimmune disorder or allergies or asthma or some sort of bowel disease, for example. But those are just the beginning. What happens when you have sustained inflammation for a longer period of time, the conditions, the diseases, the illness, the sickness, that becomes more severe over time. So I'm talking about your health being affected with certain cancers even, having your bones physically, literally your bones being affected, their health being affected because someone has been walking around with heightened levels of inflammation for months or even years. And cardiovascular diseases too. Cardiovascular diseases are very important today because the heart is one of the most important, if not the most important organs, and the cardiovascular system is one of the most important systems in your body. See, what happens is when your body has some sort of inflammation that first occurs, okay, it winds up going into this kind of protective state, and it releases a protein called a cytokine. Now, cytokines are kind of like the body's emergency signals, okay? They wind up promoting your immune cells to the affected area, they wind up increasing hormones, and they wind up flooding the area with nutrients because your body obviously wants to fix and repair whatever the inflammation area is, okay? Understand that's very important. However, when you have sustained inflammation for a longer period of time, these cytokines wind up getting into your bloodstream, and that's when you can have very severe cardiovascular issues. Because what happens is, once these cytokines wind up getting into your bloodstream, it can cause a systemic inflammation throughout your entire body, right? Because blood circulates from head to toe, so these cytokines are circulating in your body from head to toe. So that is why you have inflamed blood vessels, and that can wind up leading down the line to fatty plaques that are accumulated in your arteries. And that's why we see strokes and heart disease and things like that, heart attacks, for example. Very, very important and very serious too. Now, the second thing is, what can you do about this, okay? Well, understand that there is evidence that, that's out there. Emerging science says that the diseases that we see in our society today have been triggered first by some sort of inflammatory response, sustained inflammatory response first being present in your body. Now, of course, the evidence needs to be more refined over the coming months and years, but understand that the principles are solid. So what kind of foods you can start eating today are cold water fish, for example, like salmon or mackerel, okay? Avocados, great anti-inflammatory food. Cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, kale, spinach, okay? Things like that. Extra virgin olive oil, again, another great alternative, extremely versatile. You can put it in anything from a salad to a smoothie. Berries, think strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, cherries even, any kind of berry, fantastic. They're totally packed and loaded with antioxidants. Antioxidants are known inflammatory fighters, but the main thing that you want to start including into your inflammation diet are omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3 fatty acids are essential. That means your body does not make them. They protect against the damage caused by inflammation, and they wind up decreasing specific enzymes that trigger inflammation in your body. Now, I understand, I totally get it. If you don't like fish, for example, you don't want to eat salmon, mackerel, I get it, I understand it, but you have to wind up making sure you get omega-3 fatty acids into your system somehow. So go out, get a great supplement, a great high quality supplement that's going to wind up providing you great sources of omega-3 fatty acids in capsule form. Alrighty? Now, what I want you to do right now is to click the link below to download our instant video training, which is going to give you instant access to our top 3 foods that can help you start lowering inflammation as early as today. Top 3 foods, delicious, they're not bland. You can mix these in any kind of meal, very important. So click the link now. I'll see you over there. Click the link right now.